Hello, you beautiful souls out there. This is Aslan Speaks, and welcome to another episode. First, if you like my stuff, hit that like and share button, leave a comment. Also, today's episode is going to be about suffering and why we suffer. It's probably the oldest, one of the oldest questions to humanity is why do we suffer? What causes suffering? And I'm going to try my best to explain it to you guys out there. Every human on this planet has went through some form of suffering. From a serious form, like really heavy form of suffering that just weighs on your soul, to mild cases of suffering where like you suffer for a little bit and then you're good, you suffer for a little bit and you're good. And everyone comes to that question, why am I suffering? Some of the greatest, yes, the greatest spiritual teachers of all the ages have sought the answers to this question. And those same spiritual teachers also sought basically the answer to how to overcome suffering. How do you overcome suffering? And it's my goal in this video is to basically explain suffering, what causes it, or the root causes of suffering to my best of my ability, and then how to overcome it. So that if you're watching this, maybe you're suffering in some shape or form, and you could begin the healing journey, right? That's the goal, is to heal oneself. One of the greatest spiritual teachers of the ages is the Buddha, right? Before he was known as the Buddha or the enlightened one, he was known as Siddhartha. And if I messed that name up, I apologize. But Siddhartha, they called him Siddhartha. He was born as a prince. And at that time when he was born as a prince, his father, the king, basically he was a prince, he had everything. His father gave him everything. But his father also shielded him from the suffering from the outside of the kingdom. So Siddhartha wasn't aware of all the suffering, and you can look at that as in this world today. If you go on this enlightenment journey or this awakening journey, you'll start to see more suffering in the world, or the corruption of this world, because when we were born and programmed into this little perspective, and in a way, media and your parents or social conditioning has shielded you. But when you become awakened, you see more things, and then you see the suffering of others, and by seeing the suffering of others, you too suffer, if you're an empathic being. Now, there's people out there who don't care. They see another person in hardship, and they don't care. But hopefully you're an empathic being, and you do care. Now, basically, Siddhartha's father shielded him. But then one day, Siddhartha went outside the kingdom walls and saw the suffering of the world. And he saw what the world around him was truly like. The blinders of his reality was taken off. Well, most of you guys know the origin story of Siddhartha, right? Eventually, he left his material possessions, the title of being a prince, and he traveled and I'm sorry, guys, I'm getting tongue-tied here. And did a I can't say that. Pilgrimage. Sorry if I butcher that. To seek the truth, or to find himself, to find the answer to suffering. And he did practice many forms of spiritual practices along his journey, until one day he meditated underneath a tree for, I think, many days, and then he reached the state of enlightenment. And then everything, all the knowledge came flowing in. He connected to source consciousness, to his highest self, and he learned everything. Sorry, I'm reading a script, guys, because wanted to process my thoughts, but I also am going to freestyle with you. No, I'm not a spiritual master, guru, whatever. I'm just a human being, just like you, just trying to find the answers, and I'm doing my best. I may get things wrong. I haven't reached enlightenment, or but I'm on the process of awakening, and that's my goal, is to help you guys awakening, because the biggest trigger to awakening one's consciousness or one's highest self, or you're the better version of yourself, is suffering. That's what led me to my journey in life, is a lot of suffering. Some of that suffering was my own fault. The actions and decisions I made, I wasn't aware of, and it caused suffering. A lot of it was suffering that other people caused me. Hurt, pain, broken trust, manipulation, lying, cheating. That suffering caused hurt on me, or caused me to suffer within myself. It's also the society around me caused me to suffer. But that suffering, some form of catalytic event or suffering in your life, usually triggers you to become the best version of yourself. And sometimes that suffering also is a catalyst to make you not the best version of yourself, where you don't want to deal with all that pain, hurt, and suffering, trauma within you or around you, so you numb yourself to the outer world. May it be drugs, alcohol, materialism, binge watching TV, whatever it is. You don't want to deal with that suffering, so you numb yourself with a temporary stimulants. Now, it's in my opinion, that there are three things or root causes of suffering. Number one is that your own thoughts, uncontrolled emotions, and actions bring about suffering. So you bring about your own suffering. And when you're not consciously awake, you're not aware of this. But in some shape or form in your life, some of the suffering that has been brought onto you is through your own thoughts, uncontrolled emotions, and your actions. Maybe you allowed a toxic partner in your life, and deep down you knew that they were bad for you. Your intuition was speaking to you, hey, this person's bad for you, but you ignored it. You went along with the relationship anyways, and in the end you were left brokenhearted. Has that ever happened to you? Now you're in your room all alone, piecing your broken heart back together again. Maybe you're in a severe bout of depression, sadness, and you're suffering in that hurt, and you're hurting. You're in those deep feelings that you're feeling, and it's like suffering, it's agony, and yet you continue to dwell and feed that sadness within you, and it causes you to suffer more. So our thoughts, guys, are a big root of our suffering, because we dwell on that sadness, we dwell on that thought, we dwell on that broken heart, we dwell on that lack of money or whatever materialism that you're trying to seek in your life, and then you're constantly in your head about it, and then you're just dwelling, and then it's causing hurt, sadness within you, and you're suffering. I did a video on this YouTube channel called "You Are Your Worst Enemy." Check that out if this resonates with you. But realizing that one of the root causes of suffering is your own doing. Let me repeat that. One of the root causes to your own suffering is your own doing. Another example of how you bring about your own suffering is maybe you chose to break the law or do something bad to another individual, and now you get locked up for doing some form of negative action, and now you're suffering because your freedom was taken away. So it's also your actions. what have you, so when you're sitting there, like when you're analyzing what type of hurt, pain, trauma or the suffering that you're dealing with, analyze what part you played to bring that suffering upon you. And are you feeling that suffering in your life through your thoughts, actions, and deeds? Throughout this channel, guys, I talk about if you master your thoughts, emotions, and your actions, you can change your life. Change yourself, change your life. And one of the best ways to change the suffering or the hurt you feel in your life is by changing your thoughts, actions, and your deeds, and your emotions. Instead of dwelling on that suffering, release it from your body, release it from your mind. Stop dwelling on it like a hamster wheel over and over again. It's a hard thing to do, guys, because when you're in that pit of despair and hurt and you're really suffering and you're crying yourself to sleep in that pillow, it's a hard cycle to get out of. But it's possible if you had the willpower to do so. So number 2, root cause of suffering. All right. Is the number 2 cause of root of suffering is that other people in your life cause suffering in your life. It's important to know that we can't control, this is a good pointer here, it's important to know that you cannot control other people, their actions, deeds, thoughts, how they operate. You can't control other people, but you can control yourself and how you react to those people in your world. You can control yourself and how you react. And that's one of the best ways to become, when you're on this awakening journey or spiritual journey, whatever you want to label it as, is learning to control your reactions to the people around you. Do you react with anger for anger, love for love, pettiness for pettiness? Maybe they're being negative and you can change your reaction to calm, collected, and positive, even if they're saying or being mean or toxic to you. So learn to control your actions and how you respond. Maybe you know that you get agitated real quick to other people. Well, learn how to maybe walk away and recollect or regather yourself. So number 2 root cause is other people cause you suffering. An example of this is you may have been in an overbearing workplace. We all been there where we had jobs that are just you go there and you just dread it, but you have to. So you've been in so you might have had an overbearing boss who always secludes you and gives you the crappy shift or that tougher work, and always place task after task on you that's very demanding. And every day you struggle to do that job. And on the inside, you're suffering, you're unhappy, you're depressed, you're sad, whatever the emotion is, that's suffering, because something within you does not resonate with this job, and you're just getting task after task, and your boss is just overbearing on you, maybe even shifting your shifts around so you don't have a good complete, like your schedule's all wonky. And that suffering from that unhappiness of that job causes a lot of stuff within you, turmoil within you. But yet you need to pay those bills, right? You got to pay that credit card. You got to pay the rent. You got to pay the mortgage. You got to put food or clothes on, for supply the survival tools for your children. And so you continue to go to that 9 to 5 or whatever job it is, but inside you're suffering. So that's a form of other people causing you suffering, because that boss, he or she doesn't have to be demanding, but they single you out or whatever the case may be. But yet another person causes suffering within you. Another example is you may be a trusting human being. We've all been there. You've been too trusting, too giving, and you let someone into your life, may it be a friend, family member, or a close lover, and in a way you drop your guard. You usually shield your heart, but you drop it for this person, and you let them into your heart, right? But suddenly that friend, family member, or lover did or said something that broke that trust, broke your heart, betrayal. So due to their actions or behaviors from, or so due to the actions or behavior from the person you let into your life, they brought about suffering and hurt in your life from them doing those negative actions. So you got to be mindful not only of what your actions, deeds, and thoughts do to cause suffering in your life or into your reality, but also be mindful of the people that you allow into your life, because they can also cause suffering in your life, hurt in your life. And lastly, the number 3 reason, or the third root cause of suffering, in my opinion, is the suffering that the world causes us, or the society causes us. Because it's not just you that cause suffering or other people, but it's also the social conditioning or the society's norms, or whatever you want to say it, the world around you, and its structures that also cause suffering in this world or on you. We see this example of this a lot in America, where we are brainwashed into worshiping the almighty dollar. And those in our society or governments, or in our government institutions, who only view there's some out there that only view the human being as a dollar sign, that that's all you are to them. You're not a soul, you're not a human being, you're just a dollar sign, your way to make money, a profit. Or I use the term debt slavery, or chattel. And this also goes for big corporations that overprice their products. And so not only does the society, but this also goes for big corporations, and they overprice their products and eliminate their competitors who have a more affordable option or product that are similar, all the while they don't see the impact on the souls out there in the world, like the corporations, these society structures. Well, maybe they do knowingly know that it's having an impact on the humanity. We see that now with inflation, guys, where you struggle to buy that case of soda that was $3 and now it's almost $7 or $8, or that gas. And so you're not only are you suffering at the workplace, and you already make bare minimum, you're already at a job that you're unhappy with, but yet you do it to provide for your family or for yourself for survival. And now on top of that, now you're suffering at work, but now you're suffering at the counter or the grocery store, because now they raised all the prices, and now you're suffering because you can't afford good, healthy, organic food. You have to buy that pre-processed food. Those less fortunate souls out there suffer. Yes, they suffer because they're poor, and they have to struggle every day to barely make a living. I've been there, guys. I'm still there. And every time I climb that success ladder, a couple of years later, they changed the rules. Society changed the rules. Of those who are in control of the puppeteers of the world, change it and make so you have to struggle even more. Like, look at the 1940s and 50s. Back then, the man of the house, and it doesn't matter what role you are, the man of the house, the father, was able to go to work and provide not only for the wife and the kids, but get that car, pay that house, and provide everything that they need. And then over time, it took 2 parents to provide for the family. And what was that really about? Was they were only taxing half of America's population back then, and they were smart through misinformation. They were able to convince that hey, we need both parents working, and then two, they manipulated the wages and the prices of things, forcing the mom to leave the house to work. And then they were able to not only tax one parent, then they could tax two parents, doubling their income, or the suction, the vampiricness of the corrupt structure sucking the lifeblood out of the human being. And then also that was so that now the mom can't stay home and raise good, smart, educated children who could think for themselves. They put them into the children into controlled institutions and fed them their knowledge, so to speak, which wasn't very helpful or helping them become the best version of themselves, to dumb them down, so to speak. So they captured them. So, so basically, the less fortunate souls suffer because they're poor. And they struggle every day to barely make a living. Because corporations and governmental institutions have stacked the deck, so to speak, the deck of cards, so to speak, against you, the average human being in this world. It's like a casino. It's rigged, guys. That they stacked it against you, that certain people in power or can pull the strings or manipulate the masses have made choices that drastically affect everyday human beings. And those people in power choose to line their own pockets. They choose to line their own pockets. You're a dollar symbol to them. And all they care about is greed. They got 5 giant houses, but yet you live in a 800 square foot home. And basically, you see examples of this because it causes that ripple effect, suffering on the humanity as a whole. Food prices go through the roof. Gas pipe prices go through the roof. Your mortgages, your rent payments go through the roof. The average Joe or the average person suffers because they can barely afford to feed their family and keep a roof over their heads. And it's rough, guys. So why is there so much suffering in this world? Why is there so much suffering in this world? Why do you suffer so greatly? Especially when there's enough wealth and resources on this planet that no child should go to bed hungry or unsheltered. There's plenty of resources. It's an illusion, guys, that you believe that there's a lack of food. Especially in America, they purposely pay farmers not to grow products. We could have an abundance of farming type foods. Abundance. And then it would be supply and demand. There'd be such a supply of it that all the prices will go down. But the corporations and certain people who pull purse strings, or the controllers, they purposely have attacked the small farmer for the last 50, 60, 70 years. And then bought up all the farmland and they just sit vacant. I've traveled this country and seen tons of abandoned farms. Because they want to control the supply and demand. And then they also made it where small farmers, they put the regulations are so strict that a small farmer can't survive or barely make enough. So the farmer can't justify doing that for a living. Now I'm saying that you can't completely eliminate suffering from this world. A lot of the suffering on this planet, is it man-made? Is some of the suffering on this world man-made? What if we rewrote society or society's core values? Another question, maybe a lot of the suffering that we go through is because it has been purposely placed on us. Has it been purposely placed on us, guys? In my opinion, from research and years of research, some of the suffering could be avoided. But it's greedy corporations, it's control mechanisms, it's regulations that are slowly stripping away the sovereignty of you, the human being. Also, it's misinformation, because certain frequencies through songs or TV shows messes with our chemistry in our body, keeps us in a lower vibrational state. And there's so much, guys. I'm scratching the surface. And then I'm just doing it to plant that seed in your consciousness to make you aware, and then maybe you could help overcome suffering, at least in your world, or in your reality, or in your individual life. So here's the big question. How do we overcome suffering? Right? So I talk about the 3 root causes, and there might be more. Root cause 1 is you bring about your own suffering through your actions, deeds, uncontrolled emotions, and thoughts. Root cause 2 is other people, through their behaviors and actions, cause you suffering. And root cause 3 is the society structure causes suffering on you as well. And so basically, how do we heal that suffering? Heal thyself. And this question's been around for years, hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. I'm all parched here. Well, healing suffering at least starts with you. It's healing thyself. Realizing, taking the reins back of your life, self-mastery. No longer being a slave, or a slave to somebody else's reality. So you have to begin to awaken thyself, to be healed thyself. Start diving down the rabbit hole, so to speak, of research and knowledge, educating yourself, empowering yourself. Because when you educate yourself, you're actually empowering yourself. Don't take my word for it. Do the research. So one of the ways, if you realize you're bringing suffering into your own life and you're the root cause of it, learning to change your thoughts, actions, and deeds. Learning to change your thoughts, actions, and deeds is one of the best ways to relieve the suffering that you cause. Because you become consciously aware and awakened, and be like, hey, through this, me having this thought, or me doing this action, it brought about this negative outcome to my life. It brought this catalytic event in my life, and it caused me to suffer inside. So at any moment, you could change. You could change your thinking. You could change your feeling. You could change your actions to what? Bring about, what's the opposite of suffering? Maybe it's happiness and bliss. And so you could choose good actions that bring about happiness and bliss. Root cause number 2 is other people bring about suffering. So how you could change this is change who you allow into your life. Change who you allow into your life. I've probably said this numerous times in other videos, is you are a garden. And if you allow all these weeds in your garden, then those weeds siphon your nutrition and then stunt your growth, and you die slowly. Or they bring about more weeds and you turn into a weed. But if you change it and like, hey, this is my garden, and I will not allow anybody to siphon my nutrition or bring about suffering or hurt into my life, then you could ease the suffering that others cause you, because you only choose positive individuals who are mindful of causing hurt and pain in somebody else, and they choose not to do that. And then lastly, how do we stop the root cause suffering from society? Is that good human beings have to finally stand up and speak up. Good human beings have to stand up and speak up, speak their truth. And it's hard because there's the control mechanisms that have been placed on us. It hasn't been just 20 years. It's been, some say it's hundreds of years. And we unknowingly have been had our weights on our shoulder to keep us down so that we couldn't thrive. So it's good human beings reaching other good human beings or trying to spread the word about eliminating the suffering, and through good actions and deeds. Just sharing that knowledge out there that can help the next person alleviate their suffering, and then that person helps another. And then we have to rewrite the history books. We have to rewrite our values as human beings on this planet. Because a lot of us have been chasing that almighty dollar, and we'll put that before a human being. And that's not that it. Some of it is a lot of selfishness. Oh, like where there's people out there that just have plenty of food, but they hoard it all, and then when they're finished with their leftovers and stuff, they throw it in the garbage. Where they could have been like, "Hey, I made a big enough meal where I could feed another family." We could change if we change together. It takes one step. One step leads to like, how do you get to a hold on, I might mess up the saying, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. We have like the knowledge and ability to rewrite and restructure humanity, where there's plenty of food for people, there's plenty of shelter for people. Who wrote the law? Who created the 40-hour work week? Who designed it? Who manipulated the prices? Who's manipulating the prices of our food? Why is it so hard for a small farmer to thrive? Guys, I've looked into it. I wanted to start a small farm, but I can't because the prices are so high that I literally have to work my whole life just to get enough to start that. And then even if you do start it, all the regulations. And then you got people in the shadows who are in powerful places who purposely eliminate the small guy. They buy up all the houses. They buy up all the rental apartments, and then they jack all the prices up. They control all the water supply, the food supply, the media. And they control so much, and then they manipulate it so that it just puts more of a restrictions on us, and then we can't thrive, and then we're stuck in that suffering, that lower vibrational state. But we could slowly change, and we could step into our power and say no. And by that is, you start not drinking that tap water. You start purifying your own water. You start having a small garden and eating your own fruits and vegetables. Not giving them what they want is just that money, siphoning you as a dollar sign from you. And then there's technologies out there that can eliminate oil and gas. It's called 0-point energy. Research Nikola Tesla. He came up with the technology over 100 years ago, where we struggle and suffer because we can't barely keep our lights on in our house. Well, as a society, if we chose to, no, we're no longer letting big business control everything, and we're choosing to go to 0-point energy. It'll eliminate a lot of the suffering in this world. Because what happens when you get rid of all those artificial bills that they placed on you, those restrictions? You got to pay this fine or pay this in order to do this. It would free up your wealth and income so you could do stuff to pursue your own happiness and joy in life. I hope you guys like, share, and subscribe. I hope this was helpful. If you're suffering, what I found for my suffering was I had to first realize what was causing me to suffer inside. And learn self-mastery. To shift my thinking, to shift my emotions when I'm in that lower state of thinking or feeling. And then reclaiming my power as a divine being. Learning, guys, to tap into the divine within me. Learning to awaken my chakras, that dormant kundalini energy within you. Tapping into the divine gifts that you are, that you have already within you. Because all of you guys are gifted. It's learning to discover those gifts and talents and sharing them with the world or helping them. Find your passion in life again. Because if you're suffering inside, a lot of it's because some of our dreams and goals were never fulfilled. So fulfill those dreams and goals. And take your expectations off those dreams and goals. Some of us, we dream and go, we want to reach 100 million followers on YouTube. Me, guys, I got like 200 subscribers, and I'm thankful for all of them because guess what? Them are real, genuine people out there. And instead of me beating myself up, suffering, or being sad because I'm not reaching my expectations, I took the label or expectations off it and just be happy because I'm pursuing what makes me happy. Sharing wisdom and knowledge out there in the world. So you can also, one way that to eliminate some of the suffering that you're going through is be mindful of the 3 root causes, and then change your actions, thoughts, and deeds. Change your environment. Change how you do things, and also you could play your part as well. What can you do in this world to help others? What can you do in this world, guys, ladies, gentlemen? What can you do to help somebody, to alleviate their suffering? Maybe you're in the grocery store and you got a little extra bucks. Maybe you could be like, hey, I'm going to pay for the person next to me's groceries. I've done this. We're not at the grocery store, but when I go to a diner and I'm eating food and I see somebody and my intuition says, hey, they look like they're struggling a little bit, and then I go to the waiter and I go, hey, I want to pay for their bill. What can you do to change this world, to change the suffering, to take the oppression off of you, your family, and others? If you guys like this, check out my books. Hidden Knowledge, Gained Wisdom. Hidden Knowledge, Gained Insight, and Hidden Knowledge, Path to the Divine, and you can find them on Amazon. And like, share, and subscribe. God bless you all. I wish you the best.